He looks like he owns credit. Oh my gosh. Man like Arthur from Batman.
Namaste, dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola, good morning, ciao, privet. How are you? Hope you're well. This is Kenneth 10 back once more after the wonderful bank holiday. Tuesday, the 2nd of May already. Just completed the celebrations of the legend that is my wife over the weekend, which was great fun. Went up to London, saw a show, and had a fantastic time. And that was great. How about you? Hope you had a good bank holiday. And no sooner is one bank holiday over than another one approaches. Extraordinary, isn't it? All excited by the coronation celebrations. And we've had the gorilla Norbury knitter in. Shh, nobody knows who they are. But we did manage to get her to knit us some banners, which are in the window. So if you find that you've been knit bombed, then it could be the gorilla knitters. Be careful out there. So I hope you're well. A few things on the property side. First of all, news that hit me was older generation dominating UK's housing wealth. I know we kind of know this, but when you see it in black and white, it does make you think about it. Because a lot of these over 65s, if they don't have relatives, then I imagine equity release is going to be the thing that a lot of them are doing. The over 65 have a record 2.2 trillion pounds, not billion, trillion pounds in mortgage-free housing wealth, double the number a decade ago, underscoring a general divide in the housing market. The number of mortgage-free equity by the over 65s has doubled in the past decade, rising by 1.11 trillion. In addition, landlords in this age bracket own 405 billion in mortgage-free rental properties, leaving over 65s a total of 2.588 trillion pounds tied up in bricks and mortar. It's an extraordinary stat, isn't it? Just behind them are owner-occupiers aged 50 to 64. They've got 1.5 trillion in housing wealth, along with 679 billion tied up in rental properties. Putting the two age groups together, the over 50s in the UK hold 78% of the entire privately held housing equity, according to Savills. It also shows that the over 65s have 147 billion in mortgage debt, only 5% of the overall value of their properties. By contrast, mortgages account for 52% of the value of properties owned by the under 35s. It just goes to show the huge divide between the younger generation and the older generations, doesn't it? And the mortgages of the younger generations are double the value of those held by the over 65s. We'd expect them to be different, but not that different. That's quite a contrast. Scrapping house building targets could cost tenants £200 a year, says Labour. And this is because they dropped the target for 300,000 homes a year. The Tory government actually had a target which was 300,000 homes a year. And they said that we're going to stop that target. And the reason they stopped the target was because they never made the target. They never hit it, I don't think. And then on top of that, of course, that doesn't take account of immigration. That's just a wild estimate of what homes might be needed. And we're not getting anywhere near that, by the way. But actually, a more realistic view would be over 480,000 homes when immigration is taken into account. I've got some more stats which I'll bring up on that, but it's quite interesting when you look at net migration to the UK and add that to these figures, you see the mix is very different. And what it means, they said buy land, they're not making anymore. Well, buy houses, they're not making anymore either. And that's the truth of it. They're just not building enough. It's crazy. How much would you pay to have a royal premium, a royal name in your street? Well, the answer apparently might surprise you. Ahead of the King's coronation, Savills looked at how homes situated in streets with names bearing a royal theme compare with the average price across England. Bit of fun, really, isn't it? But interesting. There's a 24% difference, they reckon. I mean, on that basis, I think we'll go by deed poll and just rename all the streets in Norbury and put King or Queen in front of them, and then we'll have a 24% uplift. I'm sure it doesn't quite work like that. Streets containing the word King have a typical house price which is above average, and ones with royal names or royal themes have a premium as well. So apart from that, less busy today, but we'd expect that after the bank holiday, as always. It's always a little bit subdued, a little bit quiet. So on the one hand, we're delighted, of course, the King's coronation and having that extra holiday. In the house building, in the house selling terms, it's not ideal because people go away. And when people go away, they're not buying houses. So that's a frustration for us, but there we are. But we can't complain, can we? Because it is an extraordinary piece of history that we're involved in. Both the passing of the Queen and the coronation of the King are those one-off lifetime events that only so many people will see, and absolutely excited to see it all happen and unfold next weekend. Hope you are too. So apart from that, as the week goes on, it's looking busier actually, which is good to report. But I do suspect that we're going to be overall a little bit quieter this week because of that. Just a little mention about lettings. We're getting quite a few of you inquiring about switching your management services to us, and that's great. Thank you very much for that. And by the way, also, just on the bottom of the screen there, we've got the podcast scrolling across the screen. Wow. Thank you all for your downloads. Last week, we had 100 downloads of the podcast just in a week, which is a record for us. So thank you very much for downloading that. I hope you're enjoying it. I will try and keep doing them every week for you. As long as you're downloading them, I will keep producing them. So thank you for that. Just on lettings, if you are thinking of changing letting agents, the first thing to do is look at the contract you have with your existing managing agent, and make sure that you know and understand how to serve notice. And if you're not sure whether you should be changing or not, have an open dialogue with them. Tell them what it is that they're not doing or what you're not happy with, in the hope that they might actually improve. And if you really feel that the relationship is beyond repair, then that's at the time when you should be serving them notice and we can take over. They will be members of an ombudsman scheme, property redress scheme, something like that. There will be an independent body that can actually arbitrate in the event of a dispute. But if you play it correctly and if they're reasonable, and most agents are, then you should be able to extricate yourself from their contract and come over to us. And we'd be very glad to have you. So if that's something you're thinking of, or you just want a bit of advice in terms of lettings and management, it's something we do all the time. We get calls every day just about that. Sometimes we can do something for people. Sometimes we have to refer on if it's a complex legal issue. More often than not, we can answer your queries. So if you do have any questions on that, please do give me a shout, as always. Apart from that, welcome back from the bank holiday. Have a fantastic day. Look after yourselves, and if you can, your family and friends. Ciao.